Hello, everyone. Good evening. Wish you all a very happy Sunday and welcome back to Speak Up with Mopriya. This is episode number 5 of Hear from an Expert. And today, my guest is not only a dear friend, but also a self made successful entrepreneur. His journey is really inspiring. He started off as a hotelier and worked in multiple domains over a long period of 20 years. And then one fine day, he took the leap of faith and started his own venture. Today's episode is going to be packed with information, words of wisdom, and a lot of tips on how you can work on your professional development and chase your dreams. So sit back, have a pen and a paper handy to take down any notes that you feel is important, and enjoy the episode.
Hello, Mandeep. Good evening. Thank you so much for taking time out for this day. I am really excited. I think we have been waiting for almost the last 2 weeks to connect, but today finally we have the opportunity. And I'm sure this is going to be an amazing session for all our viewers today because they are going to get tons of knowledge as well as a lot of fun in this episode. That's what I'm thinking.
Thanks, Mopriya. This is a true pleasure, and yeah, I mean, this has been going on for quite some time, and because of the travel and logistics, all of that. So thank you for the patience, and yeah, equally excited for the conversation. Looking forward to it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I have already given a little bit of glimpse about you to our viewers, but in with today, I would definitely want to know how would you define Amandeep's journey, and along with that, why don't you share the most valuable lessons that you have learned in the way?
So my journey has been that of curiosity, right? I mean, it all first it was pure laziness. Honestly, I can beat a sloth bear to its death. So it started from there, and then when I got tired of being lazy, then I'm like, okay, what to do next? And that's when the knowledge shot sort of started, and then led to curiosity, and that's how I started my journey. The most valuable lesson also is that, right? Until unless, I meet a lot of people. I talk to amazing personalities. Excuse me. Everyone has had that moment in their life when their curiosity led them to do something, right? And
Yeah.
it's not that curiosity does not mean that you necessarily have to be curious about what's happening around you. You also have to be curious that, like I met someone, he said, I just have one question in my life, that what is the purpose of my life? So whatever
Correct.
I do, whatever I'm doing, is it a memory that I want to leave behind in the world? So that's curiosity, right? And they're doing some fantastic work. So I think curiosity has been one of the biggest learnings and motivations and drives of my life, to put it in short.
Wonderful. Great, great, great to know that. So, from being a hotelier to being an educator and now, successfully building BK3 Studios. How did that
Thank you.
happen? And why don't you give us a little gist about what is BK3 and what do you do and what is the dream with this?
So it's a rather funny story. I hoteliers, right? So I was in Sasangir back in 15, 16. I don't remember. So early in the morning, I picked up my diary and just went for a stroll in the morning. There was this chai ka tapri, and I
Mm-hmm.
sat there and thinking, right, going through those rough hotelier phases everyone goes through. So there are two things that are inevitable in a hotelier's life: a hotelier crisis and a midlife crisis. So I hit the hotelier crisis first, and I was sitting there wondering what to do, and then suddenly this idea popped up. I started writing, and that's how the
Hmm.
writing journey started. Then, I shifted to Pune in 2018, and by that time, I had started listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and there was a sense of humor also that you evolve over a period of time, because you meet so many people in hotels. There's so many memories within you, and everything suddenly becomes a joke.
Hmm.
So I started, knocking on radio stations. I said, I'm in Pune now, so why not get into RJing and stuff.
Hmm.
वो सिंपल है. आई मीन नौकरी चल रही है, बस जो अंदर भरा है उसको बाहर निकालना है इन अ फनी वे. सो व्हाई द रेडियो बिकम्स द बेस्ट मैकेनिज्म, राइट? सो started knocking, they shooed me away. They said, no, you have to work as an intern and all of that.
Hmm.
And then I said, I'll do it myself. So, and I was only listening to a lot of podcasts by then,
Hmm.
but the medium in India was not did not even born that time, right?
Right.
Very few podcasters, and that's how my podcasting journey started, because I wanted to just talk about all the memories that I've had.
Hmm.
And then gradually I decided, okay, because I read a lot, so I said, let's give it a book review format shape. I, in fact, titled the show also the Biblio Babu Show. I don't know what I was thinking when I named that podcast. Uh, I knew nobody's going to listen to me, so mere ghar ki kheti hai, I could do whatever I want to, right? So weird name and all of that. And then, it went on, it took off. I started Titch Button, which was India's only active Punjabi podcast until
Right.
2022. So that ticked off. And then COVID happened. A lot of things changed professionally for me, personally for me, creatively for me. And on the podcasting journey, I learned a lot of stuff. So I realized, there was a certain market gap wherein creators like me, people like me, we only had one resource to go to learn and experience, which was YouTube.
Correct.
Right. So I put in the night lamp never really burnt out.
Yeah.
And then I decided, why not give it back to the community? And hence we decided in 2021 that I'll build something for the podcasting ecosystem. That was just an idea that I'll do something for the ecosystem. What exactly will I do? I didn't have a clarity. But like I said, I had curiosity. So that one seed got planted, and there was a certain bit of frustration also at that time, because all these companies that were there, they said, we'll do this, we'll do that. For creators, nothing happened.
Correct.
Long story short, started the company in 2022. I was already freelancing by then, taking up a lot of projects, sort of test the model. It worked out, and 2022 then we went full throttle. And today we've completed almost 2.5 years now, in the third year of our growth, and it's been a transformational journey.
Wonderful, great. So, what is exactly that BK3 does, and how does it help creators? Because I know a lot of creators on YouTube, on Instagram, are actually struggling. Like, even if I talk about me, I am doing my own script, I'm doing my own shoot, I'm doing my own editing, I'm doing my own thumbnails. So it really bogs you down at one point, right?
Correct.
So how is it that it is making it easy for creators? I am definitely very interested to know.
Right. So I'll just add one more layer to it. Right. As creators, we get one idea every minute. There is a lot of stuff that we want to do
Correct.
horizontally, but because it takes a lot of effort from A to Z, you first you decide, okay, let me stick to this niche, and that's a decision which is very crucial. For the most part, right, the Pareto 80-20 principle, for the most part there are probabilities that your one niche that you identified may not take off, then you
Right.
change and all, right? So at a point I used to run 4 podcasts parallelly plus 2 YouTube channels, so I've been through that journey. So now today what we're doing is, so we're calling it ethical AI, right? So we become Asia's first podcast company to be working in the ethical AI domain. So for creators on YouTube and Instagram, it's fairly simple. You say you shoot something, you have an idea, you want to test it out, you do it through the platform that we're building, and it'll tell you the success ratio, and then it'll also, like, it'll have those steps wherein you upload your content, it'll sort of fine tune it. The platform will literally talk to you as your mentor or as your friend, will tell you from data picked up from the internet whether this is going to work or not. So no more shoots no more blind shots, for lack of
Right.
better word. But you'll have some strategy aligned with your content. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing. There's a whole lot of tech that's being building. One of the tech piece, we're still keeping it in stealth mode. It's not yet out, but that's going to be a huge transformation, because we're the only ones in Asia who's going to build that technology piece. So still figuring out, where that takes us. But yeah, so primarily this is what we do. This is the tech piece. A non-tech part which we are doing even today is creators like yourself who want to start their creative journey. They don't have the technical know-how. They may necessarily not have the resources to do it. We started with these cohorts wherein we get you on board, train you end to end on the process, and set you up for success. Work with you for 6 months to 1 year, depending on the level of your learnings, and let you sail. While at the back end, from our existing client base, we also start plugging in ads to your content, ads on your shows or your videos. You do paid content, so monetization happens right from day one. Plus, you also start working for us, with us, for our own in-house content. So we not only train you, we also give you a lot of work to sort of get your hands dirty, practice and master, and identify what are you good at, and then scale that.
Wonderful.
That's what we do.
That's very fascinating indeed. And I think that is something which will, of course, boom, because if there are so many creators, then of course they need help and they need direction, and I can very well relate to that. So great one on that, and thank you for explaining that.
Thank you.
But I'll want to go back down the memory lane a little bit. Um, since you started as a hotelier and you have spent a lot of time as a hotelier and also a hotel manager faculty, I'm sure there are so many viewers that we have who are interested in the hospitality sector, who wants to, who would want to create a career for themselves and become great hospitality professionals. But I would want to ask your opinion that what do you think are some of the skills that anybody should work on or should instill in themselves if they want to be a successful hotelier or somebody successful in the hospitality sector overall?
So I'll take a two-pronged approach to it. One is specifically to hotels, one is the whole wide world. At the center of everything lies communication.
Yeah.
Uh, Communication, and we see it every day. Like even in my team, right? My people are working day in and day out. They don't communicate with the client, and the client then calls me, "Arey yaar, kaam nahi ho raha."
Yeah.
Well, I know that the work is done, but they've not communicated. It's just a very basic example.
Yeah.
Communication. And now coming back to hospitality, right? Hospitality is a people's industry. You work with people, you work for people, and you work to serve people. And whenever you're working with people around you, there has to be a communication, right? One thing that I've learned across those 22 years is communication is your key. Now, the caveat here is that people sort of, and I'm saying it with huge respect, people mix communication with linguistic skills. That's not the case.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Language is just a medium, a mechanism to communicate.
Correct.
Communication is more important. And the second part is communication. People feel communications means yamming and going on, till eternity. But no, it's more to do with listening, absorbing, right? So,
of course,
there's this very age-old saying, right? Our parents used to say this, right? That you've got 2 ears but one mouth, which means you have to listen twice and speak once.
Yes.
So I think that's the fundamental of communication that's worked for me. Like the curiosity built because I started listening to a lot of people. I started deeply talking to them, looking dead into their eyes, not judging them, not observing them, not studying what are they thinking, but just looking them into the eye, listening attentively with my ears, and then processing, okay, what is it in what can I take from this person and use in my life, which can take me or may not take me, at least I'll give it a shot. So I think the bottom line, Mopriya, here is communication. It's very important. Language, again, and I've always been vocal, even when I was with IHM, I used to tell students that speaking English or Hindi or Punjabi, it's just a language. You can learn languages, you can't learn communication.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
Correct. And by learning communication, I'm saying there's no set. Communication comes with practice. You have to first agree to it, then practice it. Then fail, learn, practice. It's a journey.
Right. Absolutely. That is very true. And I think you have spoken about the most important aspect of it in very simple words. And it is going to be, I'm sure, very easy for everybody to understand the importance of communication. Now, we spoke about, the language does not matter. But to be very honest, let's talk about the hospitality sector, or let's talk about you building BK3, and you are connecting with clients throughout the country, and I'm sure very soon clients throughout the world. Do you think in 2024 at this point, also somewhere important that, people start taking their language levels when it comes to English specifically? Because one thing that I often hear from people, and I also notice, is that even if there are 5 Indians on a call, they would still prefer to speak in English. So do you think it's time that people should start taking it important, in an important manner, and start working on their English language journey as well?
So there's a paradigm shift that has happened in the past couple of decades, especially in India. So my thing that I said, right, that communication is important, language is not. That's for someone to start on the journey.
Right.
But whenever someone has this question in their mind, okay, do I have to learn English or not? If it's just a language, then why should I learn it? I always tell everyone to remember what happened to Nokia. They just did not evolve and see where they are today. Evolution is important.
Right.
just to sort of go back and digress a bit to what I said earlier. Mixing or prioritizing language over communication is not something that one must do. Communication should always be the priority, but you
Right.
also need to master. You may have amazing trains to travel in, but if there's no track, how are you going to travel? Right?
Right.
So the deadliest combination is an amazing train and a fantastic track. Both of them sync in each other, and you go like a bullet. That's why they call bullet trains. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
to your point of of language, Mopriya, it's very humans are evolutionary beings.
Yeah.
In a technical way, we've been evolving and we still evolve. Of course, when you are growing, your intellect grows, your language also has to grow. So today we operate in 5 cities. I'm a polyglot. I can speak 7 languages. Right. Yesterday we sort of announced our operations at Karnataka. The
Mm.
immediate thing. So before the event, right, when the whole conversation was going on, the first thing that I did, the first step that I did when we signed that agreement that okay, now we're going to be setting up in Karnataka and creating those 10,000 odd jobs here. How will
Mm.
I create 10,000 jobs in Karnataka if I don't know Kannada? It's
Right.
very simple. That's evolution, right? You evolve. I told my family that these guys can speak Kannada. I said, tell me how do I learn it
Right.
better, quicker, easier, and at
Mm.
surface level. I don't need hi-fi polished language. I need absolute
Mm.
raw dialects of languages.
Right.
So to your point is yes, in the industry specifically, India has moved on to become an English speaking country,
Mm.
and we should to an extent be proud also that we are the only country in the world which has the purest form of English. Our English is very easily understandable,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
So one must learn English and
Mm.
every other language, because like I said, you can have a fantastic train, but if there's no track to travel, what will you do?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are my 2 cents.
That's a beautiful comparison that you did, and I really loved how you so simply explained the entire thing. So thank you for that. Now,
Thank you.
I'm very curious to know this, that you had a stable job, you had always worked in stable companies, and then one fine day, I'm saying one fine day because I have witnessed that, and I know that it was one fine day, said that, okay, I am done. I left my job and then I'm going to set up something somewhere that gave me the courage to do the same thing, right? It took time,
Thank you.
but it happened. So I know the apprehensions that I went through and I had on my mind. But what about you? How was it for you? Because I know the being the head of the family and being responsible for others, it takes a lot of courage. And I'm sure I hear a lot of people whom I speak to, they're also quite scared to take that leap of faith. So, how would you describe those initial days and how did you manage to come out of it and, succeed beyond your apprehensions?
Uh, I don't know how to put it in words, honestly, but I can only share my experience. Everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own
Right.
purposes, right? The thing that worked out for me, Mopriya, was I think it was 2015 or 2016,
Mm,
yeah, sometime around that. I
mm,
was about 31, 32 years old, 33, 34 years old. And it just hit me one day that, okay, 35 years are gone. What am I going to do with the next 35?
yeah.
These 35, I only had control over 7 or 8 years, and that too I messed up by taking those stupid decisions. Because of course you do, you too young,
Of
right?
course.
You explore.
Yes.
Before that, I had no control over my life.
Mm,
So am I going to let those formidable years where I didn't have control over anything decide the next course of my journey, which is going to affect my child and my wife,
mhm.
right? So that was one thing I decided, okay, what am I going to do in the next 35 years? Now, since I have realized, okay, now the life is in my control. So that was like the foundation way back. But when I was pondering over, that one fine day, so it had to happen because I had this determination, okay, I'll do it myself. Did it, built it. But then the safety cushion of a job, leaving that is the
Yes.
most difficult part of anyone's journey.
Yes.
And it so happened, and mind you, right, while I was working, I had already registered my company. It was a private limited firm that we registered. Everything was going full throttle, minus the revenues,
Mm,
because I was on a job, couldn't work properly. But then one fine day, I just felt sick and I was
mm,
actually tired. right? I felt sick, I was mentally exhausted, I was looking for that opportunity, and I realized the opportunity is never going to come until I take it. I remember it was 15th August, and we were celebrating Independence Day, but I was on the bed and I couldn't move. I had a stiff neck, a spasm here. Doctor said no computer, no mobile, lie down for like next 10 days. And I'm like, oh man, I can't do it. I just got
Yeah.
a message. My boss emailed him, sorry sir, I'm gone. But
Yeah.
it was not easy, right? Now there's this one video, and I'll surely send you the link. You could link it in the description below. There's a
Sure.
video that I used to watch of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, very famous
Mm.
personality. I admire him a lot.
I remember
There's
that
one
video.
video, yeah. So he says that when you're against the wall, you just have one direction to go.
Yeah.
And my mentor also said the same thing, right? That once you hit rock bottom, the only
Mm.
direction is up. But to
Correct.
go up, you have to hit rock bottom. And how will you hit rock bottom if you are still wearing a life jacket? So I
Right.
think that question of a job, but again, this is what happens at the surface level. What I've
Mm.
realized for so long is people don't trust in themselves. People don't trust themselves.
Mm.
I I'm not saying I'm the fortunate one. I'm not saying that I'm a very big risk taker. I will not quote any of these, big things that happen in the startup world. I will just say that I decided I have a family to support. If I
Mm.
give up, their life is going to get affected, which means I had to
Right.
trust nobody else but my own self.
Correct.
People are not able to leave their, and I'm saying with huge respect, I have a job
Mm.
for like 22 years, right? So the reason why people are not able to leave that cushion and take a plunge and do what they
Mm.
are wanting to do their whole life is
Mm.
because they still feel, what if it does not work out?
Work out.
My
Yeah.
question is, my counter argument to that is, it has to work out. You don't say
Correct.
it will or it must.
Correct.
It has to work out. There's no other way.
Yes.
You're Till the time you don't put yourself against a wall, you can't go forward. So
Correct.
I think just trust yourself, trust the process. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. Today we are running a
Mm.
company of about 16, 17 people. Is it easy for me? No. I lose my sleep because now there are 17 people dependent on my decisions, right? It's
Mm.
such a huge responsibility.
Mm.
But we have to do it. It's an evolution. Yesterday we were on the stage in front of so many people. We've committed 10,000 jobs in just that one region. Is
Mm.
it easy? No, absolutely not. We're losing. We're very driven to it, but we're also worried, right? But if I
Of
keep
course.
thinking, what if it doesn't happen? Will I be able to work towards it? Never.
Yeah.
So I have a goal. I just have to start. That's it.
That is so true. Like I could relate to it word by word because for me, this journey has started very recently. And to be very honest, Amandeep, one thing that I realized is I created my channel back in the month of March. And I was too apprehensive to shoot videos. I was too lazy to think, what videos will I make? I was procrastinating day in and day out. I never thought that, let me just put in the effort that's needed. And it took four
Correct.
months for me. And then I started putting one video in a week, and that too, it would be a conversational video. And I used to see, comments from people. My students would tell me that, ma'am, why don't you make videos? We would get to learn a lot and this and that. I don't know, something snapped in me. And then starting of August, I told myself, I don't care. I just want to do this, that for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to post one video every day. I did not have subscribers in my mind. I did not have views in my
Correct.
mind. I did not even think about watch hours or anything. Because for me, 4,000 watch hours was like, it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's a mountain.
it's a mountain. It was like Mount Everest
Correct.
for me. So I never even gave it a thought, to be very honest. I realized from this journey of the last 4 weeks is that all it takes is for you to just do your work and just be consistent
Absolutely.
with it, whatever the
Absolutely.
results are. And then I feel that, probably when people have written our history and things like Bhagavad Gita and other things, they have written it from life experiences, that all you need to do is work, put in your effort. Your
Correct.
No point you thinking about things and fretting about things which are not even in your control. So I could
Absolutely.
very well agree to, and relate to everything that you were saying, that when you have no option, the problem is we give ourselves a lot of options.
Exactly.
Somewhere I feel that,
Yeah.
plan A nahi to plan
Plus,
B.
yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, there is one thing you said, right? Putting in the work. This one statement throughout my career. I've given this to everybody, whether I was in a job or here. And even yesterday at the event, we had a lot of students. I just insist on one thing: there is no substitute for hard work.
Correct.
Smart work is a thing of the past. It's just a marketing gimmick. It's just a
Yeah.
gig. You cannot sit at a desk and just think and universe will let it happen. Does not work that way.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
to get up every day. No matter what happens, you have to show up. No matter
Show
what
up.
happens, you have to wind up at the end of the day. Rest, relax, get up, go again. There's
Correct.
no substitute for hard work.
Absolutely.
And another thing, right, Mopre, just adding one more bit here
Mm-hmm.
is again to what you said, we add outcome because we are so used to this transactional life that we
Mm.
add outcome to every action of ours. We have forgotten
Yes.
about investments. We've
Right.
forgotten, like I say this to my people, right, that this company for me is a mango tree. I am planting the tree and I'm nurturing it. It'll bear fruit when I'm not in the world, and I'm completely fine with that.
Mm.
That's my purpose, right?
Right.
It's my purpose. But what I'm saying is, there's no outcome. I am thinking the next 50 years, next 100 years. Everything
Mm.
happens for me in the next 50 years. There are
Mm.
instances, there are decisions that we have to take in the short term, but keeping the long term thing in mind. People these days, it's very simple. I uploaded a video, it has to have a million followers, or
Yes.
million subscribers, million views. How? People don't know you. You have to show up every
Yes.
day. Put
Correct.
yourself in that uncomfortable situation every day. And then we've got this whole, and I'm coming from a creator, right? I'm a creator myself. We just want everything to be perfect to start.
Ah,
Buying an
right.
iPhone is important. Having the right lights are important. We having this
Mm.
conversation. You could afford a light. I can afford a professional
Yeah.
camera. I can have my team here shoot my video. Am I doing it? No. I'm using this basic earphone on the laptop. No lights around. Why? Because the
True.
content is important. People focus on everything else but the content.
But the
So
content. Yes.
so I think what's important is to just start without any outcome, put in the
Mm.
hard work, just keep going. You'll
Right.
eventually become a perfectionist.
Correct. Absolutely. And very well put together, all of it. And I think it is going to be very relatable to a lot of our viewers because they have a lot of things in their mind that they are doubtful about, that they are scared to think of. But I think this conversation that we just had will give some direction to whatever doubt or whatever fear that they have in mind. And I absolutely loved having this conversation. It's always a pleasure talking to you. But
Thank you, Mopriya.
before we wrap up today's session, any final piece of advice for our viewers, or any words that you would want to share? Anything else that you would say as your goodbye for today's episode?
Just one statement that, and I think it's from my experience. It's the way that has worked for me, and I've seen it. I've spoken to a lot of successful people like the Mr. Narayan Murthy and Shashi Tharoors and all of those. Uh, Always keep one thing in your mind. If anyone who wants to become anything, anyone who wants to do anything in their life, just have that one thing in your mind, that I don't know anything.
Yeah.
That's the only way to succeed. Because when
Mm.
you believe and decide, okay, I don't know anything in my life, now what do I do? And that's how
Mm.
your journey of knowledge starts. And gaining knowledge is such an infatuating thing that once you start getting knowledge, you want to put it to practice, which will lead to hard work, which will
Mm.
lead to failures, which will lead to more knowledge, hard work, failure, repeat, and eventually you become an overnight star. Right?
Absolutely.
So that's it. One statement. I don't know anything. What do you want to do? This is what I want to do. Can I do it? Yes. How do I do it? I don't know. I'll figure it out. Mission impossible,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Ethan Hunt always says this: in a
Mm.
stressful situation, I am working on it.
Yeah.
Similarly, it'll happen. Trust the process.
Absolutely. That was wonderful. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Amandeep, for your time today.
Thank you, Mopria.
And thank you for sharing so much of knowledge and information with all of us. Hope to meet you soon again. But for
Look forward to
now,
it. Yes.
thank you and take care of yourself.
Thank you, Mopriya. I must appreciate your efforts and hard work. It's very inspiring. I'm telling you, what you've done in the past 4 months, and I've seen it. Right, we used to have these conversations.
Yes.
Kaise hoga, kya hoga, and here you are. It's truly inspiring. So keep
Thank
doing
you.
what you do, and thank you so much for your time. It was a lovely
Thank you
conversation.
so much. Thank you. Bye,
Thank
Amandeep.
you. Bye.